Hey guys, Mr. Derry back with part two of our section video. Um, I've called up a section view that I found online just to kind of give you a feel for what I was hoping to get to. We're not going to get to this level of detail, and this isn't even really all that detailed. But this is what an architect would put together for a set of plans. Notice the little keyway shown here. We might get to that in the footing where the foundation wall is keyed into the footing to help it from be a little bit more stable. We do have our anchor bolt in there. We have our sill plate. We didn't show the sill insulation. These squiggly lines here represent batten insulation or fiberglass insulation. We're going to put those in a moment. Here's our double top plate. And this is a more traditional way of doing the ceiling joists where they're sitting on the double top plate. And then the roof is also sitting on that double top plate. Our roof is actually sitting up on our ceiling joist. And you can do it that way. Either way is fine. It's just going to give you a little more space in your attic. So if you're having a cape design or a third floor living space on your house, you might want to bump that roof up and set it on the floor joists up here. So let's get back to your house and what you were working on. I've done a little work on this section that I had started with you guys. I'm going to go backwards a little bit and undo a few things and show you how I got here. So I was playing around putting this insulation in. I'll show you how easy that is to do. Hopefully you got a chance to put in another sill plate and a double top plate. I put an additional piece in here. And we would also notch out that rafter and create what's called a bird's mouth in there. If you really wanted to do that, again, you would click on this, you'd go to view, you'd go to cut profile, you'd select your rafter, and then just come in here and say, I want to notch that out so that I have a little space for my plate. And we're going to keep the arrow side of that, and that should work. Notice we just cut a little notch out of our rafter there. Putting the insulation is really easy, and generally speaking, there's insulation between the living space and the basement. If it's a finished basement, they may or may not put that in there. Let's show you how to do that though. So we're going to go to annotate. We're going to actually select insulation. If we were putting insulation in this cavity, it would be a little bit bigger. So you'd probably go with maybe 7.5 inch insulation. And I'm going to come in here and just click, drag that along. In our walls are 2x6. So if we're going to go with our insulation here, it would be 5.5 inches. Make sure you, oops, that's not the inch symbol. 5.5 inches. And we should now be able to click in here, fill these walls up with some insulation. And that's pretty easy to do. It's going to want to select that midpoint for you. And then you just drag your mouse up in the direction you travel. Now, if this was an unfinished attic, your insulation would go this way. If it were a finished attic, you would put insulation in here. In other words, if this is a cape or a third floor, you would be putting your insulation up in here. It probably would be something a little bit thicker. I didn't get to talk about this, but you would not put your insulation all the way tight to the roof. There would be an air gap in here to allow air to circulate so that your roof didn't get moldy and rot out on you. Didn't get to that, but it's just something you should be aware of. All right, so hopefully you got a chance to at least put this amount of detail in. What we forgot to put in here, I got to move that insulation back, as we forgot to put our rim joist in. So our rim joist would be another component. And I can't remember the size of our floor, so let me just quickly grab this and see what our structural member. I want to say it's 11.25. I think that was our 11 7/8. Okay, let's see if we have a rim joist that we can get of that size. So I'm going to go to annotate, go to component, and 2 by 12 is going to be 11 1/4. I wonder if they have rim joist material. They do not. So let's see what happens if I can edit this 2 by 12. Yeah, that's going to be too small. I would have to make my own rim joist material that actually comes 11 7/8. I'll just leave that in there for now. What did I have up here? Probably something similar. So we'll leave that out as well. There'd be another rim joist there and there as well. Okay, so this is really as far as we're going to get with this. Hopefully you guys use the day on Friday here to straighten out your dimensions and get those taken care of, and hopefully get a sectional view at least to this level of detail. Again, I was hoping to get something more like this, but we're running out of time. We'll see what happens. I want to quick take a moment here. Again, this is our foundation for our garage, our footing rather, foundation wall. I had another image that I wanted to share. This image right here, we can zoom in pretty tight. Now this is a really robust building. It looks like they framed it with 2 by 8, which is way overkill. I don't know if this is in a hurricane section or this is I don't know why they built it with this additional blocking, but this is really robust. But I did want to point out that on the top of your foundation is a piece of that green pressure treated lumber. Then this is our rim joist, which is part of our flooring system. You can see it's starting to get a little blurry in here, but there's a layer of plywood that sits on that. This is our platform. This is our bottom plate. This is our studs. And then if we zoom in at the top, you'll see that there's a double top plate, just like we put in on ours. And then the next floor section, another bottom plate. And in this case, this is a gable end, so the wall got framed all the way up because it looks like it has cathedral ceilings in that space. But to see what that looks like here, again, quick review. Here's our pressure treated lumber. Here's our single bottom plate. Here's our double top plate, single bottom plate, etc. I know that this isn't as exciting as putting in furniture and so forth in your house, but you should start to recognize some of the basic structural components. All right, that's it for this.